My name is James Nice. I'm the police chief in Akron, Ohio. The mayor is currently out of the country, working on bringing new jobs to the city. I've spoken to him last night, and I've spoken to him this morning, and he expresses his sorrow for the family, what I'm going to be talking about here in a moment. He couldn't make it. Let me introduce who's here supporting the Akron police officer in our department today. Marlene Long, Chief Secretary, Rick Edwards, Public Information Officer, recently retired Captain Martha Sullivan, Detective Bureau Captain Elizabeth Doherty, Captain Patrol Captain Sylvia Trundle, Captain Mike Probonic, Captain Ken Ball, Captain Mike Shear, Captain Paul Calvaruso, Lieutenant Chris Brewer, Lieutenant Mike Capers, Assistant Chief Charles Brown, Reverend Bob Denton, Deputy Mayor Randy Briggs, City Law Director Sherry Cunningham, Captain Dan Zampelli have joined me. This morning, at just before 2 a.m., Officer Justin Weinbrenner was shot and killed while performing law enforcement action. Officer Weinbrenner had spent the evening hours attending a fundraiser event. He then went with some friends to one location, and from there went to Papa Don's restaurant bar. He was there in an off-duty status. Keenan Ivory, 35 years old, came into the restaurant and was being very unruly. He was asked to leave. Mr. Ivory left the restaurant and returned very shortly. Mr. Ivory then brandished a firearm. At this point, the restaurant patrons looked to Officer Weinbrenner, knowing he's an officer, and needed his help. Officer Weinbrenner began to deal with Mr. Ivory as a law enforcement officer. Ivory shot him at that point. The specifics about how many shots we'll find out later when the reports come back in. Weinbrenner was then transported to City Hospital and passed away approximately 30 minutes later from the gunshot wounds. 4 other individuals were shot during the same confrontation. One was another officer. I'm not going to disclose his name. This afternoon, he had minor injuries, very minor injuries from a gunshot wound. 2 men and a woman, patron at the bar, were additionally shot. At this point, I'm not able to give out their names or their status on how they're doing. They were shot and they were transported to the local hospitals. They did sustain significant injuries. Mr. Ivory fled the scene upon conducting the shooting, and a manhunt ensued. Akron police officers were able to capture Mr. Ivory with the assistance of our K-9 unit. Keenan Ivory, 35 years old, 5'11", 240 pounds, was charged with 1 count of aggravated murder, 5 counts of felonious assault. Mr. Ivory has an extensive criminal record. Drug trafficking numerous times. Twice he's been arrested for weapons under disability, both in 2011. Tampering with evidence. It's just, the list, his criminal record goes on and on. I want to say a couple things about Officer Justin Weinbrenner. He's 26 years of age. He was appointed March 26, 2007, serving 7.5 years. He's a father, a sister, a 4-year-old daughter, and a fiance. We've spent the evening with the family, and they've been notified. His father is a retired Barberton police officer. Officer Weinbrenner was serving on Platoon 4 for the Akron Police Department. Uniform 7 p.m. to 3:30 a.m. detail. He was a field training officer. He was the highest in professional standards and integrity. He was a very well-liked officer. Received a commendation recently for a burglary arrest investigation. In 2008, he saved a citizen who lost control of a vehicle, hit a telephone pole. Officer Weinbrenner and 2 others pulled the driver to safety right before the car ended up engulfed in flames. Prior to being with the Akron Police Department, he served 2 years with the Medina County Juvenile Detention Correctional Officer, ASMA. I'll now take questions.
Can you talk more about, you said that the suspect, when he was first at the establishment of the bar restaurant, he was unruly. Can you speak more to what that circumstance was, that incident?
Not without guessing, and at this point in the investigation, I don't want to be guessing. We know that he came into the bar. He's known to patrons at the bar. When he came in, he had also been at the fundraiser earlier in the evening that Officer Weinbrenner was at. But all I can say is he was unruly, and he had been asked to leave by bar management. And he then left and returned very shortly with the firearm that he brandished.
Chief, was he there seeing his fiancée at the bar? Did she work there as well, or is that correct?
I don't know if I need to put that out right now.
Has the suspect's weapon been found? Because around 12 o'clock, there were 2 officers searching a field near the bar over there. Has the weapon been found?
Let me refer to Captain, Detective Bureau Captain Doherty.
A weapon has been found. They're probably looking for other evidence.
Chief, you're saying that the suspect was at the same fundraiser that the officer was at earlier?
Yes, I am.
So are we to guess here that this suspect followed the officer to the bar?
I don't believe that is the case. He showed up there and was unruly, but Officer Weinbrenner had gone to another location after the fundraiser before going to Papa Don's. So that's doubtful. Again, I don't want to put out any supposition at this point in time, but he was known to some of the patrons of the bar.
And when this suspect came back to the bar, came to Papa Don's, did he target just the officer?
We're working on that. We're conducting all the interviews, patron interviews, and we're looking at that.
But then you said, as a police officer, he started to assume the duties of trying to calm the situation?
He did, and he was asked, is what I was told. I was at the scene last night and at the hospital, and I was told that they looked to him for assistance, knowing he's a police officer. When the gentleman came in the second time and brandished a firearm, that they looked to him as a police officer. He stepped up. He stepped into duty at that point with a felony in his presence. He stepped into duty at that point in time.
Was he in the process of trying to escort the suspect out of the establishment?
We're still looking at evidence to see. We believe at this point in time there's video. We know there's video that needs to be reviewed. So we'll review that video and we'll have more specifics.
Did the officer have his off-duty, have his weapon on him?
That's something I'm not ready to answer at this point.
And
Was
was
he
there
in
an
u-
exchange of gunfire at all?
That's still something that, with the investigation ongoing, I'm not at liberty yet to answer that.
Was Officer Weinbrenner in uniform?
He was not.
Were there any other officers in the bar restaurant?
There was one officer, one officer was grazed.
Oh, that's right, you did say
And,
that, sorry.
yeah, there were some friends of his, and I believe at least one other officer. There were other officers there.
But they weren't there for any police-related activity? They
No.
were just there on a
Socializing.
Saturday night?
Yes, socializing.
Does the fundraiser, do you know anything about the fundraiser, and does that have anything to do with what
I-
transpired in the evening?
At this point, I don't want to discuss the fundraiser. I don't think it'd be fair to the organization, or they had attended a fundraiser for athletics.
Chief, can you go through the process of the shooting? Was the officer shot first at close range, and then how were the other people shot?
That's still being determined. This just happened hours ago, so I hope you bear with me on not having all the details. The Detective Bureau, I mean, we haven't said, this just happened hours ago, and the Detective Bureau is working nonstop on this. So I don't want to put anything out that is not completely accurate.
Would you say where on his body he was shot?
In the torso.
And was he taken directly to the hospital without ambulance coming? Like, did someone there just take him straight to the hospital?
I believe he was transported in an ambulance with our officers. Is that correct? That is correct.
Can you comment on the type of weapon that was recovered?
Captain Doherty, are you able to?
Not at this time, no.
Chief, can you talk about the other officer was there? Did that other officer also assist the officer that was shot?
We're still reviewing exactly what transpired in there. Like, there are numerous witnesses that witnessed this whole thing, as well as victims. The restaurant had numerous patrons in it at the time, so between getting all the witness statements and video, we'll have exactly what happened in not too long of a period of time.
You said the other injuries are significant. Are any of them life-threatening at this time?
Possibly.
Chief, can we just clarify the age? How old was he?
32.
32.
Yes, sir. The officer is 32.
And Chief, if you don't mind, just can you share with us what you said to, your other officers as you addressed them? Because this could have been any of them.
It's been very difficult, and I don't know if I can answer that question well. The officers on scene were remarkable. We had a lot of folks out last night, and while this is all going on, folks want to see how their officer is doing, but at the same time, we had a fugitive out there in the middle of the night, out off of East Market Street, and people assumed the roles that they needed to assume, and our supervisors assumed those roles. And while all this is going on, we had people in ravines, and we had dogs searching, and we've been trying to get to the folks. Some folks were able to get to the hospital. We've addressed the roll calls. We addressed the midnight group this morning when they were getting off, the morning crew. We've addressed the 11 o'clock roll call. So we've been talking to the officers. One officer was involved in providing CPR on scene to Officer Weinbrenner. And we've got some pretty shaken up officers at this point. And with 450 officers, we've not been able to talk and spend time with each officer. And we're in the process of doing that right now. We'll have another roll call shortly after this coming in, and we need to talk with those individuals.
Chief,
Yes,
you
ma'am.
indicated that the suspect was at the fundraiser, as was the officer earlier in the evening, and he was a known patron at.
I don't know that he was a known patron at the bar, but the patrons in the bar, many of them knew him.
Knew him. Do you know if Officer Weinbrenner knew the suspect prior to?
I
the
believe he
shooting?
did.
He did.
Would that be an accurate statement? I believe he did. They were at the same fundraiser. I believe might be the key word there
But we don't know how they may have known each other.
from this organization.
And you don't want to tell us what the
I do
organization is
not,
at this
not
time?
right now.
Okay.
I don't think that would be fair at this point in time.
Chief, can you comment on specifically where the suspect was found?
I'm sorry, sir.
Can you comment on where the suspect was found?
Uh, In short proximity, he ran, and it was, I guess, within a mile, would you say? Within a mile. I don't have that specific in front of me. I was out there while the search was still going on, but it was in close proximity to East Market Street there.
Was it still outside, or was he in a building or a house or anything like that?
Is anybody able to comment?
Car
on that?
or-
He was in a field, he was in a field nearby, laying in the field trying to hide, and with the help of the canine officer.
Dan, would you mind stepping up to the mic? Would that be okay?
Captain Dan's in,
Okay,
Billy.
thank you.
My understanding in talking to the officers that apprehended the suspect, he was hiding in a field nearby. The area where the restaurant is, there's an open field to the, I guess it would be the northeast of this area. It's where the railroad yard is, adjacent to that. And there's a lot of field, there's a ravine there, and apparently the suspect hid in that area in hopes of concealing himself. With the help of one of the canines and the handler, the canine was able to seek out the suspect, and then eventually the apprehension was made.
Chief, when is the last time that an officer was shot in duty? And can you talk a little bit about how he is a hero?
It was long before I got here, and who would, 94? Say that again, Marlene. George Knapp, 1994. It's been a long time in the city of Akron for
Chief, you said before he's got a long criminal record, the suspect here, and he was twice arrested with a disability with a firearm.
I did.
Are you disappointed that a man with such a long record was currently out? I mean,
I've been talking about this for 3 years and 5 months that I've been on this job, that I'm disappointed in the state of Ohio in how we treat weapons under disability and CCW, concealed carry of a weapon. I've always been disappointed in the state of Ohio in that typically in Summit County, our officers will take weapons off individuals and they will not do a day in jail. I've said it publicly many times. This is another example. Although he has done jail time and it's been associated with other crimes that Mr. Ivory has committed, the typical person in Summit County that is arrested for an illegal firearm does not do a day in jail. And I've been mad about this, I've spoken about this, I've irritated the judges about this. It's not just a judge's fault, it's a legislator's fault in Ohio. It's not considered a violent crime in the state of Ohio. And we share with Illinois the fact that it is not a violent crime with this administration in Ohio to carry an illegal weapon. And I think we all know what the statistics for crime and gun violence in Chicago and Illinois are. And this is just another example of anybody can walk the street with a firearm. And we know that, and it needs to be addressed by legislators, needs to be addressed by judges. The chiefs, we try, but all we can do is keep arresting people. But they truly will not do a day in jail in Summit County. And it's a problem.
Would it be fair to say that this officer was trying to save other people's lives when he interceded?
I would say it's fair to say that he took it upon himself to deal with this situation, which cost him his life. And this individual clearly, by shooting 5 people, was there to create quite havoc. So I'm proud of the actions. The Akron Police Department is proud of the actions of Officer Weinbrenner to get up and step up when a felon comes into a location with a gun and deal with it. And I couldn't tell you if people's lives are intact today because of that, but I wouldn't be surprised.
And the reason for this guy coming back there, who
Not
he had,
sure.
who he was upset
Not
with?
sure. We're still working on that, man.
Would you like to speak more to the character of Officer Weinbrenner? I mean, you spoke about his bravery and what he did and lost his own life. Him personally as well?
I know a little bit, you know, with all the officers. I don't know them all as friends and things, but I do know Justin Weinbrenner. He's a big kid, he's a strong kid, he's a good-natured officer, he's a well-liked guy, just a really friendly, likable guy.
And was he engaged to the,
I don't think right now I want to talk about his personal life there. I think that you're getting some of that information, but I don't know that I want to put that out. All right, I think I'm going to wrap it up here unless there's something. We'll probably have more information coming out as the Detective Bureau gets specifics, and we can do that. So thank you for your time today.
Thank you.